another edition of News Generation. My name is Ifwa Akwa Harrison. We have an exciting episode in store. Let me tell you what's coming up. Now, some senior high schools in the country reopen with Ebola screening processes in place. Then we sit down with 14-year-old Audrey, who is well on her way to achieving her dreams. We tell you what she does when she's not in school. And what is inflation and the consumer price index, and what has it got to do with you on the maiden edition of Teen Business? It's going to be interesting, educating, and exciting. Stay with us. News Generation, supported by
Cowbell with Vitarid.
Remember, we are on social media. Find us on facebook.com/newsgenerationgh. Also find us on Twitter @newsgengh. And we are currently on WhatsApp as well. The number is 054-090-010-9009. The number again is 054-010-9009. So you can send us your messages through on WhatsApp. But remember to add NG before you send your message. And then, of course, add your name, your age, and where you are sending the message from. Now, some senior high schools in the capital have begun the process of screening students for the deadly Ebola virus. The initiative forms part of the Ghana Education Services Directive to screen students reporting for the 2014-2015 academic year.
Given a form that shows details of whether we've come into close contact with any Ebola patients or traveled to any country during the vacation.
I know it's a viral disease, yes, and it can be contracted through close contact with people who already have it. And I also know that it is present in bush meat, such as the bats and the rest, so we have to avoid all those things.
We always use sanitizers and tissues, so that is what I'm doing right now, and then avoiding direct contact with people, like handshakes and then hugging and all this.
Since the outbreak of the deadly Ebola virus in the sub-region, a lot of concerns have been raised about the country's preparedness in the event of a recorded case. Concerns about the possibility of the disease spreading through students in schools have been a major worry. The Ghana Education Service has also given a directive to schools to begin the process of screening students for a possible Ebola infection. At the Achimota School in Accra, screening process have begun for boarders who started reporting on September 15.
Yes, this one, the GS gave us a form. We ran them for the number of students in the boarding house because yesterday the boarders were coming. Students who had been out of Ghana and had gone to the Ebola areas, who had come within 21 days, they were asked to be put aside. We were told that with them they will have to be screened. Apart from them, nobody else was to be screened. The rest of the students, they fill the form. When they fill the form, you get to know who has been out, okay, and has arrived before 21 days.
Day students will also be screened. The screening exercise is supported by the Achimota Hospital, following the directive by the Ghana Education Service.
Yes, day students will come. Some of them came today, so tomorrow they will have their screening. We put the same structures in place. Tomorrow morning we are starting morning assembly. We have a structure. They have a place they sit. So before they sit in the morning, we would give them the forms to fill, and then the hospital staff will be here again tomorrow morning. In fact, this afternoon, they are still here because the boarders who didn't come yesterday, we are expecting some of them today. So they are in the assembly hall.
The process, according to the Ghana Education Service, is to be replicated through all schools in the country. Government has already disbursed 500 personal protective and essential equipment to tertiary institutions should there be an outbreak.
So, what's up? Remember the I don't accept bribe, I don't give bribe campaign? That was a police campaign launched in March this year. But what has happened since? Adelaide has the rest.
Expenses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Next show, when the diamond, you want to me a member, you want to diamond. I'm 5 years down. I'm sure I'm moving being saucy. And then you're going to move being saucy for me, brother. Oh, move being saucy. Honestly, I mean, who know? Oh,
seriously, are you shocked to see this video? Don't ask me if I am shocked, because I don't know what to say. And I have been asking young people what they think about this policeman's behavior.
In my opinion, I think that the policemen who collect bribe from drivers should be exposed and they should be sent to the law court so that other policemen won't learn from their corrupt ways.
For my opinion, I think the collection of bribes from drivers are not good. Therefore, such policemen should be exposed by maybe placing security cameras near traffic lights to expose them.
The policeman should be sacked because bribing is not good, and it's also going to tarnish the image of the Ghana Police Service. So he should be sacked.
The policeman should be sent to court and punished, so that it will serve as a deterrent to other policemen. And also, the drivers should be educated so that they will know the effects of giving bribes.
From my opinion, I think collecting money from all drivers is not good, so we must find a way of exposing policemen who do that, and justice must be served when they are caught.
To me, I think the drivers are not supposed to give the policemen money. If they don't give them money, they are not going to continue doing that. Because if someone is doing something and that thing is not progressing, that person is not going to continue doing it. And they are going to stick to their payment. And maybe the government are not paying the policemen well. That's causing them what they are doing. And this, what they are doing, it can lead to accidents. Maybe the drivers, their lights are not on. And they can't see the road and they just give them 5 cedis. And they go and then accidents are causing the death of the people, reducing the population of Ghana.
Your views on WhatsApp. Now, the Kotobabi cluster of schools park sold. President Mahama returns from a 3-nation West African tour, and multimedia educare expanded. The details in local news round.
The playing field of the Kotobabi cluster of schools have been given away to a private individual for the construction of the assembly terms the Wembley Sports Complex. The situation has compelled pupils to loiter around the Kotobabi township during break hours because they have no alternative playing ground. The project is currently at the foundation level, and for fear of being victimized, the headmaster of the school says he doesn't know who authorized the project. Multimedia Group has decided to increase the number of children who benefit from the Multimedia Educare scheme. The project has sponsored needy but brilliant students for 6 years. The company has decided to increase the number of recipients from the current number of 20 to 30. The scheme will soon be expanded to cover tertiary education, according to a board member, Vicky Redu Ando. The board appreciates the challenges parents and brilliant children are facing, and that influenced its decision. President John Mahama has returned home after a 3-nation tour of some West African countries faced by the deadly Ebola virus. The president visited Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea as ECOWAS chairman. The visit was to afford the president to hold discussion with his colleagues, heads of states, on available sub-regions and international intervention to support the countries in their effort to contain and manage the Ebola outbreak.
So how old are you and how close are you to realizing your dreams? Well, let us introduce you to young Audrey. Why her story will inspire you. published books at 14 years. Audrey Obuobi-Sadako is well on her way to accomplishing her dreams. She is a JHS 3 student of the University Basic Schools, Legon. I sat down with her to learn more.
I go to the University of Ghana Basic Schools at Legon, and yeah, I'm the assistant school prefect.
You have 2 books to your name, Magic Basket, and much recently you're about to launch Wahala Day. Tell me, how did you get into writing?
In my former school, we're always encouraged to write books, stories. So sometimes I just sit down and try to think of something to write. Other times too, I just look at other situations around me, things that happen, personal stuff. Then I try to form them in fiction, and write.
So what was the inspiration behind your book, Magic Basket?
I like to read fantasy and a lot of fiction, so I decided to write something which is a bit supernatural and a bit human thought transcending, about a basket which brought happiness to other people by ways of magic.
Tell us about Wahala Day.
Well, for that one, see, we are all young adults, and I decided to write this to address some of the issues and challenges that we as young adults face in life. So it's about a teenager who goes through trials and glitches, but then also is able to fight her way through. Though a lot of things happen to her, she doesn't really break down. She also finds hope in a friend that she had lost some time ago. Yes.
So as a young adult, what sort of issues do you go through?
Okay, problems with our parents, a lot of problems.
What do you mean a lot of problems with your parents?
Maybe we disagree with what they say. Sometimes they don't even understand us. But it's all good, yeah.
What else? Problems with friends at school.
Friends, a lot of maybe, that rivalry, jealousy.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
2 things. Well, I want to be a part-time writer, that's for sure. I also want to go into the communication sector, so I want to learn more about addressing larger crowds, bringing people together, and I was also thinking of doing something medical, but now I think I won't.
How has the support been from your parents?
Immense. For the first book, I didn't actually think that it was going to happen. I was 12. I was only joking because I had seen other books and I had never seen any little kid writing anything. I had written a story, I felt like it was good because little kids would like to read it. And then I told my mommy one day that I wanted to publish it. I wasn't really serious about it because, I was a little small. But she did. 2 years later, she was like, why not? It's not something that is for only old people. You could also make a difference.
And how many more books are we to expect from you then?
A lot. Well, I'm currently working on the 3rd book. I don't know how it's going to go. I started a few days ago.
What are your hobbies?
I like to watch movies and anime. I also like to listen to music.
What's your favorite subject?
English. Probably English. Or math.
What do you have to say to your friends out there who probably have an idea about something that they want to do but are either too shy or don't have the support that they need to actually come out and do that thing?
Just look at me. I'm little, but then I have done this. I have 2 books to my name, so there's nothing too big for you to do. You shouldn't let anyone suppress what you want to do. You should just go ahead and try to pursue your dreams, because no one can beat you, only yourself, yeah.
But she isn't just a creative genius. She is also a maths whiz and a very ambitious young lady.
Her English teacher, Grace Fredria Jiman, can testify to this.
Audrey is one of our best students in the school. She joined us from primary 1 to date, and she contributes very well in classes. Recently, she's my president, that's the Young Writers Club. She's the president of the club, and she takes part in almost all school programs. When we have drama, she takes part, sometimes choir, and so forth. And currently, she's the assistant girls prefect of the school.
So how do you feel that she has 2 books to her name and she's even recently coming to launch another one?
Yes, it makes us proud to produce such a student.
Audrey will be launching her 2nd book, Wahala Day, on the 28th of September at the Pan-African Writers Association House.
But when I was about to sit down, Ernestina called me. I told Vivian to wait till I came back, but she said the food would become cold. Okay, then leave some for me, I shouted back to her as I ran. When I finished with Ernestina, I went back to where Vivian was, and she was drinking water. I wondered how she got the money to buy it, but I didn't say anything. I sat down and opened the bowl. It was left with only 3 pieces. I stared wide-eyed at her, and I stared also at the food. Vivian, where is the food? I asked them. Down here, where else could it be? She pointed to her stomach.
Well, still to come, Adelaide's landmark of the week and teen business. We'll be right back.
When your kids need it all, there's only one drink that's got it. Cowbell Chocomalt. It's got the delicious taste of chocolate, the nourishment of malt, the all-round goodness of milk, and sugar for energy, all in one sachet. All I add is water, hot or cold. Now, that's real value. And that's real teamwork. Cowbell Chocomalt, 4-in-1 value with a great new taste.
Inflation and Consumer Price Index. I'm sure you have heard and read these words, but what is inflation and what is the Consumer Price Index? Well, let's find out in the first edition of Teen Business.
Imported items, we recorded an inflation rate of 21.6% for August 2014. And then that for locally produced items, which are in the consumer basket, the inflation rate was 13.8%.
These figures may sound very confusing to many young people, but what do they really mean? Since the beginning of 2014, the price of goods and services have increased several times compared to 2013. For instance, last year, an alone cup of garri, which sold for 5 cedi, is now selling for 4 cedis. While a crate of egg, which sold for 7 cedis last year, is now being sold for 13 cedis. A tin of milk last year sold for 1 cedi 50 pesos, but it is now sold for 2 cedi 50 pesos. While a tin of Milo, which was sold for 6 cedis last year, is now going for 12 cedis.
When this happens, inflation is said to have gone up. But when prices of goods and services go down, inflation also goes down.
So what really is inflation?
Inflation is the increase in the price of goods and services over a period of time. When this happens, people pay more for the same product they buy, which affects their spending. Inflation has a negative impact on the economy and people alike. Companies are unable to plan and budget for the long term because of constant price hikes. Inflation affects productivity as companies are forced to shift resources away from products and services to focus on profits and losses from a currency inflation. Investors become discouraged and uncertain about what they will get from their investments. Taxpayers are made to pay more taxes as a means by government to generate revenue. Those who import items have to use more cedis to buy things that are priced in dollars. This is because our local currency, the cedi, is unable to compete with the major foreign currencies, namely the dollar, euro, and the British pound.
But what really is consumer price index?
Inflation is not too different from the consumer price index. They are closely connected. Normally, the consumer price determines the level of inflation in a given time. A consumer price index measures changes in the price level of consumer goods and services purchased by households. For instance, the consumer price index measures the difference in price of yam, tomatoes, onions, and other consumable items.
I now understand things much better. What about you?
Eric, it makes a lot of sense to me too. Thank you. Now, our landmark of the week takes us to Malaysia. Let's link up with our tour guide, Adelaide.
The mall is located in the central Bukit Bintang area and houses more than 450 stores spread over 7 levels. It was built in September 2007. The mall covers about 32 acres of land. That is about the size of 24 standard football pitches. The mall has a number of designer boutiques, including Prada and Hermes, Topman, Gucci's, in fact, all the top designers you can think of. There are a number of restaurants, but there is also a food court and a golden screen cinema and so much more. The 7th floor of the mall is fully dominated by shops for women. Here you will find a number of spas, beauty salons and nail shops. And that's not all. 2 tall residential towers are situated above the mall. Renting a place here can cost over 6,000 Malaysian ringgit, which is equal to 6,675 Ghana cedis per month. Pavilion KL was an instant hit. This mall is the most popular and expensive mall in Kuala Lumpur for tourists. In 2009, the mall won the Malaysian Tourism Award for Most Innovative Shopping Centers. In total, the mall won over 15 local and international awards.
Apia is yet to receive his dismissal letter and other news from the world of sports.
Dismissed Black Stars coach Kwesi Apia says he is yet to receive his dismissal letter from the Ghana Football Association. Kwesi Apia, who until Wednesday, September 10, was Ghana's coach, was sacked by the Football Association for losing control over the dressing room, among other reasons. Minnesota Vikings running back Adrian Peterson has been suspended from all team activities until his child abuse case is resolved. The 29-year-old was arrested last week and released on bail, but was left out of the Vikings game on Sunday. He was reinstated on Tuesday, but that decision has now been reversed. Peterson faces a charge of allegedly hitting his child with a tree branch. He claims he was disciplining his 4-year-old son and did not intend to injure him. South Korea's Kim Hyo-joo saw off Carrie Webb to win the Avian Championship and become the 3rd youngest major champion on the LPGA Tour. Webb, 39, a 7-time major winner, held a 1-shot lead going into the final hole in France. but the 19-year-old held her nerve on the 18th green to sink a birdie putt, which put the pressure back on Webb.
Let's find out what's trending.
Guinea. Peekaboo.
The usual game between father and daughter went on for a few minutes.
Oh, peekaboo. Okay.
Then Dad asked to be excused.
I'll be right back, okay?
What follows is hilarious as it is heartbreaking.
Peekaboo. Peekaboo.
Where's Daddy?
Peekaboo. Oh, come here, sweetie. Oh, come here. Oh, it's okay.
Oh, what small hair can do. Well, let's take a trip around the world.
In less than 24 hours, people in Scotland will be asked to decide the future of their country. On Thursday, 18th September, the Scots will vote yes or no to one question: should Scotland be an independent country? It's expected to be really close. Both sides are spending their final day campaigning, all in a bid to win over people who still haven't made up their minds. Scotland has been part of the UK for more than 300 years. At least 67 South Africans were killed when a church hostel belonging to Nigerian TV evangelist TB Joshua collapsed in Lagos. It is not clear how many people died in Friday's collapse. The previous death toll was put at 60. A schoolgirl from the U.S. capital, Washington, D.C., has prompted laughter from the U.S. president after admitting that she had hoped the special guest visitor to her school was going to be Beyoncé. Barack Obama seemed understanding, admitting that his daughters would prefer a visit from the singing superstar. First Lady Michelle Obama, the president's wife, also agreed that she would rather see Beyoncé. The President and First Lady were taking part in an event at the Inspired Teaching Charter School, filling school bags with toys for homeless children.
And that's it. Thank you so much for staying with us. Let us know what you think about this episode and especially your thoughts on teen business on facebook.com/News Generation GH. Until next time, have a good day.
News Generation, supported by
Cowbell with Vitarid.